This is the second part of the counting high energy particle series, I suppose. Um, I've talked about Geiger counters. These are like black and white instruments, maybe fuzzy black and white instruments. They either see things or they don't. That's how they're used. They do counts. So when you see Geiger counters, if you look at the actual counts and not the sieverts readings, again, that's more what I pay attention to because of the inaccuracies of that conversion. I don't like using dose equivalence information. But I've got a Geiger counter sitting here, and for conversation's sake, it's clocking 50 counts per minute. So that's basically 1 count a second, give or take, 60 counts a minute. This is conversational. So I come along with a spectrometer. With a very special probe with very known capabilities, and it's sitting there counting 20,000 counts per second, 10,000 counts per second, 5,000 counts per second, depending on where you are. This is a bit of the nuance of spectroscopy, of this conversation, because I just added a layer of depth and complexity to understanding radiation. It is hard to speak to. But I went from 60 counts per minute to 6,000 counts per second because the detector electronics is that much more sophisticated, that much better. So one of the things you can do when you gain that discrimination is identify the particles by their frequency or amplitude, their power response to that specific detector type. That's kind of the key there. In the metrology world, the world of these instruments, again, and I forgot the two words, qualify and quantify. So qualifying is saying what this thing can do. In this case, high energy particle physics, it's very specific. So what can the detector and its complementary electronics and its configuration, and is it in a box or out of, what can it detect? So all of these are variables in this equation of life. But since I can see these things quicker, these pulses quicker, I can now, because of the resolution I have with this new, very sophisticated technology, now I can see more. I increased my bandwidth. I went from black and white television to color television. And all the hues and the nuances you can see in color television. You went from, scratchy 8-track tapes or cassettes to digital hi-fi music. Little transitions here in technology that you just take for granted. You pay another subscription and poof, you've got more stuff to play with. So inside of that spectrometry thing, in this high particle identification, definition, quantification, qualification, all of this is part of methodologies to prove your readings. It's part of the requirements of the physics and the experts that should be speaking to these things. So that's a second level can of worms in this measurement conversation that speaks to how we know about Pacific Ocean pollution. We take these things back to labs and look at them very closely under very strict and controlled procedures, and we make conclusions from the information that those instruments give us. And the folks that know don't question those instruments a whole lot. A lot of folks don't realize what I'm even speaking to at that detector physics level. They never needed to. They didn't need to know how the Wheatstone bridge in their gas chromatograph responded to the nuances of thermal transfer. But that's what's going on inside that chromatograph. So another short, long one opens up a whole nother thread of conversations about scintillation detectors in the field, applications and usage, and their importance. So hang on, stay tuned, fasten your seatbelts. It's not going to get any faster or better than this.